Welcome back. About 2 weeks ago, I decided to come off social media. Obviously, YouTube still allowed, but social media where you're reading stuff, Facebook, Twitter, X, as they call it nowadays. I've also decided to delete apps, BBC News, Daily Mail app, just general apps that you get on your phone where you can keep up with just the general news that's going on. I've been thinking about doing it for a while, really. The main reasons why are, it's actually quite depressing. And I say that in a mental health kind of way. It's not just, because you can always find good news. You can always find good stories. You can find fun things to do on social media. But what I'm finding more and more, and I have for the last couple of years, but what I'm finding more and more now, despite, the problem is, you try and block out the negative stuff on social media. You can't do much about the news apps apart from perhaps not read something or choose not to read an article or a story. But I'm just finding more and more that no matter how much you try to block out the negativity, the horrible stuff, the sad stuff, the lies that comes out a lot, no matter how much you try to block it, the algorithm still has a way of pushing it all through to you. So just to give you an example, Twitter, in recent months, you're getting a lot of I'm not a big fan of the far right kind of stuff. You know, the Nigel Farage kind of thing, the Reform kind of thing, the Tommy Robinson kind of stuff. I'm not a fan of that. I don't really agree with it. So, with X in particular, you would block it. You would block accounts posting stuff, promoting lies, promoting division and hatred. You'd block it. But no matter how many you block, different accounts, the algorithm still finds a way to push that kind of content in front of me. And once you're reading something, you've read it, which is kind of weird. Because you would think an algorithm would pick up stuff, pick up the fact that you're blocking a certain type of content. But X doesn't work like that anymore, does it? Facebook's another one, although it's a little bit more discreet. It still finds a way of promoting various posts. We think you may like this. We've suggested this group because we think you may like it. And it's not stuff that I'd like. It's not stuff that I've ever even considered thinking about interacting with. But still, it pushes it on me. And I find it really annoying that these algorithms are supposed to learn about things, learn about what you like and what you dislike. That's the whole point of how these kind of things work. But it still pushes it at me. Just going to show you something here. I can't walk very far. I'm walking down a coastal path here, and for some reason, I have no idea what that is. What is it? It's a lot of... It's a lot of scum or whatever it is that's washed up on the seashore. And it's washed it up over the walls as well. Obviously it's been pretty stormy over here. Anyway, back to my story. So social media, I've decided to just cut it out altogether. Now, unfortunately, that also means you cut out some of the nice stuff. Be it keeping up with cousins, aunties, uncles, family, that kind of thing. You don't get to see any of that. You don't get to interact with the fun stuff, read people's good news. But this is kind of how the world has turned out. It tells you what you should watch. It tells you what you should see. And for me, social media was never about that. Facebook, when it first came out, was never meant to be about that. But yet, it decides to just give you what it wants rather than what you want. The news is a separate thing. I'm going to try and find a way back onto the path here. Let's cross the grass. The news is different. The news apps, because there's an awful lot nowadays. Oh, got the train going past. Because social media is dictating a lot of what happens in the news these days, the news apps have had to go by default, because they're reporting on this kind of stuff, whether it's marches, whether it's people getting angry, whether it's people painting roundabouts with red stripes, and the England flags being painted on various items, walls, things like that. But the news will report. I mean, the BBC I've kind of trusted for a long time, but you tend to find that the BBC takes a couple of days before it reports on something that's happening that you can readily find on Twitter and X. But the BBC tends to do its due diligence, works out if something's real or not real, if it's true or incorrect, and then it might report on it. So there's always a little bit of a lag with the BBC. The Daily Mail will just push any old rubbish onto you. And again, it tends to parrot the kind of stuff that you see on social media, which, in all honesty, is dividing the nation. It's certainly dividing the UK. I've had words with old friends many times over the years. Things to do with migrants, that kind of thing. But the news is just reporting on what is happening. The social media world is almost like the news. It is dictating a lot of it, and a lot of what is happening there is now what's been reported on. So you tend to get to a place where stuff you're seeing on the news is essentially just parroting and repeating what you see on social media. And it's not something I want to see. And I found, I'm a voracious reader. I read a lot of, I like to know what's going on in the world. I like to follow Ukraine. I support Ukraine against the fight against Russia. But I like to keep abreast of world events. I like to know what's going on. Obviously, you have this thing now with Trump where you can't believe everything you hear. The guy thinks a lie is the truth, and he will back himself to the hilt and tell you that night doesn't follow day. I can't deal with that. I need to know verified facts. I need to know stories. I need to know what's going on. I want to see people just trying to make the world a better place. And unfortunately, I believe that there's a lot of people out there who want to make the world a worse place at the minute. I'm not naming names. Obviously, I've named Trump. But there are people who want the world to be divided so that they can make money out of it and get ahead in their own lives just from that kind of thing. And who needs that? So, for my mental health, because I would read all this stuff and I would digest a lot of it, and you start it starts you making you think a little bit negatively, and it's not really right, is it? And I notice sometimes that my mood can be a little bit off, and I'm taking in all this information. I'm thinking it, I'm not only reading it when it's there, I'm thinking about it, I'm digesting it. It's on my mind when I go to sleep, it's on my mind when I'm driving, and I don't need it in my head. Who does? So I've just come back from holiday a couple of weeks back, and I was reading things while I was out there, and it wasn't necessarily a specific decision to do it around that time, and it didn't adversely affect my holiday or anything like that. But I thought, I came back off holiday and I thought, you know what, there's things I want to do with my time. I don't want to be bogged down in all this rubbish. And social media has become rubbish. YouTube's different. You can click on a video, you know roughly what it's going to be. Obviously for the purposes of YouTube, I still watch YouTube, but I can choose what I watch. I can't stop what the algorithm is generally presented in front of me. But to be fair, that is just a reaction to whatever you've watched previously. So if you watch 10 fighting videos, it'll start presenting you with fighting videos. If you watch videos about sport and football and what have you, it'll start pushing football videos on you. That's generally how YouTube, as we understand it, works. But I feel like I'm a little bit safer with YouTube because I can choose what I want to watch. Whether it's some comedy, whether it's some music, I can do all that, and I can choose to click play or not. So I feel relatively safe there still. Oh, another train. I'm actually up in Arbroath at the minute. Just let me show you it. It's on the northeast coast of Scotland. That's Arbroath up there. A bit further up the coast you got Montrose. People actually come here and stay in caravans. I'd go a little bit further south if I was staying in a caravan personally. But you've got a beautiful coastline down this east side. Although it doesn't quite look it at the minute because it's a bit overcast and it has been raining a bit. But there's some beautiful beaches up this coast. So, it's now been 2 weeks since I stopped looking at social media and the news. I still hear headlines on the radio. I'm still roughly aware of what's going on, although I may find out a day or two later on. But that's general stuff. But from 2 weeks on, I can safely say that in terms of my mind, it's a little bit clearer. I'm not constantly gunged up with stuff I don't want in my head. I hope you can still hear me okay, because these waves are relatively noisy here. Yeah, so I'm not gunged up, so I found myself having a bit of a clear head at times, which allows me to think about other stuff, do other things. Obviously I've got extra time where I'm not scrolling through a phone. I'm planning things for YouTube. I'm planning what I want to do. I've got a couple of different channels that I'm working on. I've got loads of videos from a recent holiday that I'm uploading onto our family channel. I've got editing to do. I've got effects to add. I've got thumbnails to create. All these things take time. And if your brain is constantly clogged up with other stuff, it affects the time I have to do all those sort of things. And these are the things I enjoy. But I'm hoping the weather stays okay. I'm going to start posting a little bit more on this channel. There's plenty of things I want to say. But the main running theme is going to be how life changes away from social media and the news. You know, it's kind of like going back to the mid-80s or even the mid-90s, depending on what age you are. You know, where life was simpler. And you can take time to think and plan and choose what to do with your life instead of being bogged down on a phone and fed information that your brain doesn't really need to receive. I think there's like a little bit of, what do they call it? Is it neuro-linguistic programming, it used to be called? Where if they keep telling you that there's something wrong over and over and over and over and over again, you're more likely to believe that something is wrong. And I think there's an awful lot of people and outlets out there these days which are trying to sow division and hatred and serve their own needs. And I don't want to expose myself to it. I'm fairly level-headed. I've always had a, you know, let's look at both sides to the story kind of attitude. That's the way I deal with things, you know, and I don't go in hard too much one way or the other. When it comes to debates and information, I'd rather just sit back, look on the fence and go, well, I kind of believe that side of things. But 2 weeks in, as I say, I'm feeling a lot fresher in the head. I think I'm actually sleeping a bit better. But I don't know. I don't have any desire to go back and look at all this stuff because I believe it's become a little bit toxic. Do you lot think that? Has your immediate social world become toxic online? That's how it seems to me. But there's an easy solution to it. You just turn it off. That's all you do, turn it all off. Come away from it, do something different. What was that old program in the 80s? Why don't you? It's time to do something less boring instead. Get out of your house, go and do some things, go on a bike, go on a skateboard, make a cart, go for a walk, go running, go and do fun things in the park. It's time to do something fun instead. So, there we go. I'll let you know how it goes over the coming weeks, months, years, decades, whatever. But right now, my head feels clear and it's good. Anyway, I'll catch you soon. Anybody who's got any comments, by the way, if you agree with me, leave them below. Because I think it's the case and it just needs people to wake up and smell the coffee and do something about it rather than just suffer it. So for now, it's bye for me. See you later.